So today we're going to take a look at solving system of equations by graphing. We have two problems here on the board. One is negative 5 over 3x plus 3 is equal to y, and 1 over 3x minus 3 is equal to y. They both are already in slope-intercept form, so we don't have to actually do any conversion or switching around a few numbers here. So let's go ahead and dive right into the first problem here, which is in orange. We're going to write some steps as we go along as well. So step number 1, identify y-intercept. Okay, so we know that your y-intercept is here. And of course, as we include our y-intercept, we need to make sure that we include the sign or the operation that's in front of it. The operation tells us the sign of that number. So in this case, we represent y-intercept as when x is 0, y is positive 3. Okay, step 2, find slope. And as we know from our slope-intercept form, which is y is equal to mx plus b, that slope is the coefficient of x. So our coefficient of x in this problem here, and let's highlight that. Let's highlight that in purple. So our slope-intercept, or our slope in this case, is negative 5 over 3. Now, as I am writing slope, which the original slope that we have here is negative 5 over 3, I'm going to write it in two different ways. Okay, I'm going to write it as negative 5 over 3, and I am also going to rewrite it as 5 over negative 3. Now, what I want you to do is take a second here, and I want you to put in your calculator negative 5 over 3, or negative 5 divided by 3, and I want you to put in your calculator 5 divided by negative 3. Okay. Now, once you place those two numbers or those two problems inside of the calculator, what you're going to find is no matter where your negative is located on these slopes here, you are still going to get the same solution. Therefore, when I am writing slope down, or when you're writing slope, it does not matter where your negative is. In reality, it may benefit you depending on how large of graph paper you have in order to graph your line. Okay, so that's the reason for me placing both of those slopes on this problem. Okay, and then finally, step number 3 would be to graph y-intercept. So y-intercept says I'm at 0, 3, so I'm started at the origin, can't move on my y-axis. So I go up 1, 2, 3 places, and I plot a point. Okay. Step number 4, use slope to find a new point. So from this current point that I have already plotted, which is your y-intercept, I am going to use the slope negative 5 over 3 since that was my original point, my original slope, and I'm going to find another point. So that tells me that for negative 5 over 3, and remember it's rise over run for slope. So I'm going to, instead of rise, since it's negative, I'm going to fall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. And then I'm going to run, since it's positive, I'm moving to the right. 1, 2, 3 places, and I plot a point. Okay? So now I have another point. Okay? Now, what I need to do now is connect my 2 points or create my line. And let's see here if I can do this well here so it can be straight. Let's see what we get. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I have a line here. Okay. Now, in some cases, you might want to use your slope to find 2 or more points. I recommend that you do so that you can see what happens when the two lines intersect. Okay, in some cases you may want to use the original slope that's given in the problem, or in some cases you may want to use the other slope that you may find depending on where you place that negative. Okay, so I'm going to place my ruler down at the bottom here so that it will not distract us from doing our work. Okay, and let's go ahead and take care of the next problem. So the next problem, I'm not going to write the steps, but I will follow the same steps. So number one will be to identify my y-intercept, which in this case it is 0, -3. Step 2 says to identify my slope, which m is equal to 1/3. And of course, in this case as well, I'm also going to identify my other slope. It's the same slope, but I am rewriting it with my negative placed in a different place. And with this being a positive 1/3, I can have a -1 over a -3. And of course, when you place it into the calculator, you're going to find that -1 divided by -3 still gives you a positive 1/3. Okay? Number 3, it says to graph y-intercept. So let's go ahead and do that. So y-intercept is 0, -3. So I start at my origin. I go down 1, 2, 3 places and graph my point. And then step 4 says to use the slope to find another point. And so by using slope, I'm going to use the first original slope here, which is +1, +3. So I'm going to rise 1 and run 1, 2, 3. And guess what? I land right on this point here of the other line. And so that when I draw my line here using my ruler, I find that the point of intersection is at +3, -2. So point or POI is +3, -2.